You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? In tennis, love means zero. In the tennis movie Challengers, love also means just about zero. How would Amber and Scott handle this manipulative world of backstrokes, volleys and devil's triangles? And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
You find yourself in the unique position.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
What would you do?
How do you want to handle this?
What would you do? Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
Come one, come all. Tonight we are talking about Challengers. Challengers is about Tashi Duncan, a former tennis prodigy turned coach and a force of nature who makes no apologies for her game on or off the court. Married to a champion on a losing streak, Tashi's strategy for her husband's redemption takes a surprising turn when he must face off against the washed-up Patrick, his former best friend and Tashi's former boyfriend.
This was a very interesting one. There's a whole bunch of what would you do rolling around this film.
Yeah, definitely a love triangle of epic proportions.
Yeah, that was something for sure.
Led by a woman who I think is kind of likes the power of that.
Yeah, she's like, I am who I am and deal with it, bitches.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. I feel like there was a little bit of story that got left out of this thing to get to where they were.
Really, gosh, there were so many flashbacks, flash forwards, flashback, flash forward. I got whiplash in that film.
Yeah.
So what do you think you missed out on?
How did Patrick get broke?
Oh, because he's never really been ambitious, and he didn't go to college. He thought he'd just turn pro earlier, and he wasn't really successful at it.
I mean, did he just not make enough money at all doing it? I mean,
he was definitely more of a free spirit that wasn't hunkering down and, you know, making the dream happen like the other two characters were, and probably just that lack of discipline and actual execution, I think, probably landed him where he was.
I guess. So I find some of his actions kind of interesting, and Tashi's actions very interesting, considering that, like, he's basically, I mean, kind of found himself as for lack of a better term, a loser.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When you're there for a tennis competition, you don't have money for a broken down motel, and you have to find a gal on Tinder to hook up with so you have a place to sleep. You are not winning in life.
No, which is all the more surprising that he was able to win on the court. I mean, yes, that was a challenger tournament, so they're not exactly the most competitive in the world, but it sounded like that was where he was, maybe lower, yet in the end, he finds himself in the finals against a guy who's got 3/4 of a career Grand Slam and 6 total. I mean,
I'm sure there's some psychology at play there, too, because they had known each other since they were 12 years old. They knew exactly how they played. They played against each other. They had been best friends. So I'm sure there's a lot more mental going on there than just skills.
Oh, yeah, and that's the thing, too. I mean, I can tell you, sports, and most anything competitive on a high level like that, yes, absolutely, there is a massive physical part to it, but it's very, very, very mental.
Yeah.
As got shown a couple of times.
Yeah.
I mean, you have breakdowns that cause you to lose points or even games.
Or just outbursts.
Or you're just like, hey, I fucked your wife. And he's like, okay, fine, just score. Like, you scored on her, you can score on me now.
Yeah. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Always spoilers.
Yeah, we do the spoilers. So what would you do? Like, obviously, there's 3 main characters here. There is the husband who has been fawning over that gal ever since they met her when they were 18. There is the other guy who hasn't made much of his life, but was the original boyfriend of the girl who lost her own dream to be a sports star, who was on the fast track to be one of the best and brightest in sports, and twisted her knee, messed up, and lost it all, and is living vicariously through her partner.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the two guys, it was weird because one was more of a passive, like, sort of a lay down, and then the other one was a little more ambitious. And it turns out in this case that the lay down was the one who got a lot of success. So it's not a big case for being ambitious, I'll say, because like he was just like, I'll just do what you tell me. I'll do what you tell me, but it led him to a highly successful career. So
let's look at the we're here to talk about what you would do. So if you had a crush on this, so the guy, the main guy, remember his name was Art. So let's get our characters here. Art, and he was married to Tashi. And then the guy that was the original boyfriend who turned loser later was Patrick. So what would you do if you found yourself in that situation where you and a buddy both had it bad for a girl?
Earlier in life, I did have one or two situations that were actually similar to this. Not nearly on this level, not to the point where I started making out with my bro, but...
Okay, that makes no sense to anyone listening, but yes, it's part of how manipulative Tashi was. It's manipulating
maybe
the situation.
they've seen the movie and then they know that.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It was the perfect demonstration early on that she will
Everyone is her
puppet.
plaything.
She will puppet you however the fuck she wants because she can. So
I mean, if the other guy, your buddy, got the girl, you really like the girl, would you still kind of secretly dig away trying to chip away at that relationship? And if you ultimately won or lost, depending on which character you want to be, how much resentment would you harbor? And
I don't know. So I have one specific thing in my life from my past that reminded me. It was myself and a friend of mine were both interested in this one girl. Like we both kind of knew the other one was interested. And in the end, she ended up dating him.
okay.
And they were together for two plus years or so.
Okay, that's actually pretty similar to the storyline in the film.
Yeah, they eventually broke up. She and I were still friends, and we talked about it later. She said, I should have chose you instead of him because you and I would have dated for like 2 weeks and it would have been done. With
But
him,
she wasted 2 years.
With him, I dated him for 2 months and then spent the next 2 years trying to figure out how to break up with him.
Okay.
So yeah, you never know. Just because you win doesn't necessarily mean you're the winner.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I mean, there is a saying, "All's fair in love and war," and
But how far does the bro code go? Like, if your buddy got the girl, are you kind of undermining him along the way, like Art did when?
Yeah, no, Art was definitely a piece of shit for some of the things he did. Like, there's a certain point, like
little things. It wasn't
like when she's in the process of choosing, gloves are off. Do what you got to do to win. But once she's chosen and it's very clear that she's with one, like you've got to respect that. And I did not respect Art for those tactics. I get the all's fair in love and war, but there is a line, and that is where bro code comes in. You're like, listen, if they're gonna break up, they're gonna have to break up not because of me. Now, there's the whole like you can't date your friend's ex. I don't subscribe to that. I just don't. I think if that's what turns out to be correct later, like if that's the only thing stopping you, it shouldn't stop you.
There's probably some variables: how long, how intense, who broke up with who,
Yeah,
how
but you can't-
traumatized one party was over the other.
Yeah, but you can't cause your friends break up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we went through the film, we also realized that might have been her choice. But, we know that she did cheat on Art with Patrick after they were together several times. They kind of alluded to something in Atlanta, even though we didn't necessarily see it. And then she slept with him the night before the big tournament. And there was another time, wasn't there?
No, I think that was it.
Okay.
But I mean, I felt like it mostly was
when they got engaged.
she kind of hated herself for it. Like, I'm doing it, but I don't necessarily love myself for doing it.
See, I didn't get that. When she slept with him when she had the engagement ring on, and like I think she was into that. The one before the tournament might have had some undertones of like I need to be on top. I need to be the winner. I need to, be the one that's successful.
Win at all costs.
Yeah. But prior to that, when he commented on the engagement ring when she got engaged to Art, I feel like that she was into that.
Well, I don't. There might have been some implications. I don't know if there was actually cheating.
Okay. Well, they definitely kissed. I guess this goes back to what your definition of cheating is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, not sleep.
I mean, it wasn't like a peck. It was, oh yeah, I've missed you. Let's make out for a minute here. And then they disappeared and we don't know what really happened.
That's true. It was a very complicated relationship for sure. And
Which one? There was a couple of relationships.
Yes.
All of them.
All of them. You could take any line of the three on that triangle, and it was a complicated relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, I think, when we look at what would you do, I think it was an interesting dynamic between Art and Tashi, because Art definitely felt that Tashi might not love him if he didn't win, if he didn't keep playing tennis, if he wasn't this competitive go-getter that she had always wanted to be and was vicariously living through him.
well, yeah, she married a puppet. She married her puppet. I mean, that's what it is. She was with him because she could manipulate him. And by the way, I'm just going to give a PSA here as it pertains to this on a what would you do? Here's something I would never do. And this is a topic you and I have discussed off air many occasions. If there is one person in the entire world that you should not coach, it is your partner. In sports, in life, in anything, you don't want your partner to be your coach. That shit gets messy.
I haven't been in this situation, so I don't know, but I would think in a sports context where there actually is like, hold the racket this way, put it up this many inches at this angle. There is a right way and a wrong way to do sports. So to have someone that you actually trust give you some of that guidance, I don't know if that's the same as, telling you to put away the dishes.
A relationship between a player and a coach can get very, very strained. And I mean, like, you need only look back at like Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, who were incredibly successful together, but we know that there was a lot of a strained relationship between those two. But they weren't doing it on a nightly basis.
Not that we know of.
Not that we
I wouldn't want to see those babies.
Though if you watch the roast, you might wonder. No, it's a strained relationship because you need to be able to say as a coach whatever you need to get the best out of that person. And
I'm sure she did. She was that
well,
personality.
yeah, but that isn't very conducive to a loving, happy relationship at times. I mean, even in the past, like when I've tried to teach people, I used to play Magic the Gathering semi-professionally, and I've had a few people that I've taught, and a couple of them have been partners. And I've actually brought multiple partners to tears teaching them the game.
You're not a good teacher.
Well, no, that's the thing.
You might know the game, but you're not very kind
Okay,
when it comes to teaching people stuff.
So let's be very clear here. I'm a very good teacher. I piloted a couple of people to some great success, but it was very strenuous on our relationships for sure. So I shouldn't be coaching. Shouldn't be coaching my partner.
You have a very blunt style about you.
Yes,
nonsense blunt style.
But so yeah. So I mean, what would you do? I would not be screwing my coach. That's one thing.
In the case of the film, I think that was his way of getting that relationship to the next level of, hey, I have a coach, come and be the assistant coach and bring her into the world. And, it worked. He
Oh, yeah, it was the only way.
He got her to marry him. And
it was the only way. I mean, that's what she was looking for at that point. You're right. Like, when her career went south, she absolutely, like, as strong as she seemed on the outside, she knew that if she wasn't somehow attached to a winner, in her heart, she felt like she was nothing.
Yeah.
So she had to be attached to someone who was a winner. And
so what would you do in that case if you had someone with that kind of intensity and expectation of you? What would you do?
Oh, that would not be a relationship. Like I couldn't do what Art did. I couldn't. It would blow me up personally. But he was more receptive to it. I'm just not personally. I just couldn't do that. I'd rather either flame out like Patrick did, or find an outside coach. Like find somebody that I'm not laying in bed with at the end of the night. And mind you, when I said that I coached people doing magic, it wasn't 1% of what a coach in this world would be. It was like a few weeks worth of things rather than like years.
Right.
So
yeah, I think they were married for about 8 years. So that level of intensity and that partner coach relationship over an extended period of time, with one of them being forever changed because she couldn't compete. That's a stressful situation. And he just wanted, he was at a point where he wanted to stop, and he was only really doing it to make her feel involved in the game.
Well, it was very clear that she was highly resentful of him and all of his success early on, when she was like, I would stab a baby or an old lady to have a recovery like yours.
Yeah.
So obviously she
got herself on the banner with the Aston Martin banner with him and stuff. So she was still trying to stay relevant, I guess.
Oh, they're staying relevant, but when you're that level, that caliber of an athlete, you want to be the one. Like, you want to be the one. You don't want to be with someone. You want to be on the marquee. Like, you want to be the man or the woman.
Yeah, and they changed his name to their last name. It was Aston Martin and the Donaldsons, and then they were both on the banner. So
yeah. So it was. I don't know. She clearly was an emotional basket case.
Yeah.
I mean, like, here, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna spit in your face, and then I'm gonna write it.
I think that's the end of the episode.
No. It was weird. I mean, it was clear that all she wanted was relevance, and she was going to do what she needed to get or maintain that relevance. I mean, I probably most identify with Patrick from this whole thing. Like, I'm going to do it my way, and if I flame out, then I flame out. So, but what I wouldn't do is leave myself without a backup plan. Always try to have a backup plan.
Good advice.
Okay. You have anything else? No, she's just shaking her head.
You go on too long. We always have like 2 natural endings, and you still keep talking.
Well, yeah, that's what I do.
Stop it.
I told you beforehand this episode was going to run a little long.
Okay, but you're turning it into a movie review thing, and that obviously all this is going to be edited. But we had 2 points before.
I don't know that it will.
We had 2 points before where we could have stopped, but you kept talking.
I want to remind you that I'm the editor on this, so we'll find out if this is going to get edited or not.
Spit in his face and write it. Like, that should have been the end. Right there, that should have been the end.
I just needed the censor button available so that I could have said.
Okay.
So anyway, very complicated movie with relationships, and definitely a lot of what would you do. If you haven't seen it, well, first of all, we're sorry. We've completely spoiled it for you. But I'd love to. This is one of the first times I'd love to talk to some other people and get more ideas as like how they identify which characters went too far, which characters didn't go far enough.
We don't have time to bring in other people. We're already 5 minutes over.
We're not going to.
Okay.
Well, we're not 5 minutes over when I get done editing it. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.